This video explains legislative politics in the European Parliament. The representatives elected from national parties form transnational political groups and share the workloads across functional committees. The political groups are formed along ideological lines, with the groups representing the whole political spectrum. The leadership of the political groups assign members to the different committees. While it is common to sit on more than one committee, most members tend to focus their effort on the activities of only one of these committees. Within the committee, the political group coordinator organizes the workload amongst the group committee members. The political group leadership also decide who gets to speak in the plenary session. And they have the power to request separate votes and the recording of how individual MEPs vote on specific votes. As a result, the goodwill of the political group leadership is important for individual members' work inside the parliament. However, it is the national party or the local constituency that control the election chances to both the European and the national level. MEPs can therefore be understood as agents serving two principles: the national parties and the political group leadership. When these principles differ in their opinions, MEPs tend to go with the national party, but career ambitions and the national electoral system determine the willingness of MEPs to defect from the national party line at the margins. The bulk of the legislative work takes place in the committees. When the Commission sends a piece of legislation to the European Parliament, the Parliament leadership and the committee chairs meet to decide which committee should have the main responsibility for it. In the committee, the chair meets with the political group coordinators to allocate the responsibility for presenting the committee reports on the legislation to the plenary. The political group coordinator that gets the report selects one of her committee members to be the rapporteur, that is the MEP responsible for writing the report. When writing the report, the rapporteur should seek to represent the view of the committee as a whole, not merely the view of his own political group. The committee members vote on the report using simple majority. Individual committee members can propose amendments to the report. When selecting the rapporteur, the coordinator faces a classic delegation issue, where competence, risk of shirking, as well as agency drift need to be traded off against each other. As a result, the MEPs that get to serve as rapporteurs have a high attendance records, vote with the political group most of the time, and have expertise in the policy area. Once the report is adopted in the committee, it is forward to the plenary. And here it is first debated and then voted on. The rapporteur presents and defends the report in the plenary. Selected MEPs from the different political groups also get to present their view. MEPs from national parties that plan to break with their political groups on some of the votes may also provide reasons for this during the plenary session. For most legislative votes, the plenary vote with simple majority of those present. But an absolute majority of all elected MEPs is sometimes required. When present to vote, MEPs can either vote yes, no, or abstain. Voting is either by show of hands, electronically, or by roll call. While all final votes are by roll call, the political groups can request electronic or roll call votes on any vote. In roll call votes, it is recorded and made public how each MEP voted. On electronic votes, only the number of yes, no, and abstains is recorded. When voting is by show of hands, we only get to learn the outcome. In most votes, the members of the European Parliament vote along political group lines, not along national lines. However, in some votes, some national party delegation break with the group. This might be for ideological reasons, because of national interest, or due to electoral consideration. Coalition formation in the parliament tend to follow a left-right and to a lesser extent a pro-anti-integration pattern. However, due to the absolute majority requirement and the nature of EU legislation, it is often the case that the two main political groups, the centre-left Social Democrats and the centre-right European People's Party, vote together. The Liberals often join them to form a grand coalition against the Green and Socialist on the left and the Populist right and the national groups. However, the coalition pattern also varies substantively across policy areas and issues. Votes may be highly divided within a particular political group without splitting the others.